Hi, thank you for joining me. Happy Thursday. My name is Tina. I'm an analytical thinker from the linear world who is 5 years into my journey of self-discovery, and I'm here to share with you a few tools which have served me well as I venture down this path of transformation, self-awakening, whatever you may want to call it. This video is video number 8 of 14. I posted my first YouTube video about a month and a half ago as an introduction as to why I would begin a YouTube channel at the age of 50. If you would like to hear the details of that, feel free to hop to the video titled Introduction, and it will give you more details around what this whole series is. But real quickly, it's a series of 14 videos to assist people like me coming from a more linear mindset venture on or further down this path of self-awakening. I post every Thursday afternoon, and I try to keep the videos to about 15 minutes, so not to cut into your day too much. So with that, today's topic is actually crystals and stones, which is a fun topic, and we'll get into that in just a second. It is the 7th chapter of the book that I've been writing, and the title of what these videos are named after, which is The Spiritual Awakening of an Analytical Mind. As always, future videos will mirror the chapters in the flow of the book. As I've mentioned in prior videos, writing this book was put onto my path about 2.5 years ago, and I am in that process now, and hopefully we'll be seeing a book in the very near future. But in the meantime, I was guided that I needed to do these videos and get them out to anybody that may watch them and get you the nuggets now, as it may reach different hands than the book may reach. And also, it just can't take everybody else the 5 years that has taken me on the path at this time of the universe. So with that, crystals and stones. It seems like for many of us, collecting these little crystals and stones is kind of a first step on this journey as we get going. And I think for me at least, it made me feel like I was participating in whatever this newfound world was that I was entering. And, you know, it wasn't scary, I guess, for lack of better words. You know, we may venture into these metaphysical stores and meander around, and I know I felt awkward and really not at home at first until I found the store that fit me for the time. But I would always kind of veer to the crystals and stones because they felt safe. It was a small step onto the path, and so that's what we did, right? You know, when I first unknowingly stepped onto this path, my kids and I would actually go to the stores, and we would pick up, and I just grabbed a couple, you know, we'd pick up a little crystal or stone and the little pieces of the paper that would come with them that would describe the stone's attributes or, you know, benefits or whatever it may be of the crystal and stone, and we would collect them, and they would, you know, end up on our dressers or on the windowsill, and sometimes we would carry them in our pockets, and that was enough. You know, if whether people believe that they work or not, as long as we truly believe it may help, then that's often enough. And so for us, that was our early step. And then real quickly, another fun place to incorporate crystals and stones is with a pendulum, which I have one here, right? And, you know, early on, oftentimes we don't trust our intuition, and a pendulum helps with that. You know, for me, it felt like somebody else was telling me these things versus it really being my own intuition, which was making it move. I actually formed a small little pendulum addiction. I carried it around everywhere I went for the longest time, and actually had a pendulum intervention from my spiritual mentor, who was like, okay, time to put it aside and trust your intuition, and if you want some validation as to what your intuition is telling you, then take it out for that purpose. So but it is a fun little part of beginning the journey. And of course, another fun place to incorporate crystals and stones into your new path is with jewelry, be it necklaces or, you know, a ring. This is one of my new favorites. So there's so many places that we can bring these crystals and stones into our lives, and it doesn't feel quite so scary as maybe taking some other steps that we may need to take. So let's dig into how I broke up the chapter. The 3 sub-chapters, as I usually do in all these chapters, is, let's see, the first one is a little crystal knowledge, which we can probably all use. chakras, and then crystal grids. And so I'll get into a little more details on some of these than others, but it'll give you at least a little snippet as to what we can talk about. As far as a little crystal knowledge, you know, crystal shops, whether they're brick and mortar or online, they have what they do for sourcing. And, you know, perhaps the little bulk crystals that we just saw, maybe those are bulk purchases, right? But and again, each one is different, but as they find their sources for maybe the larger or more unique pieces, maybe they know that vendor a little bit better. They can get closer to source for those unique pieces. But we really don't know because it is somewhat of an unregulated market. So I guess knowing who you're getting it from and doing the best you can to know where your crystals are coming from, and you know the ethical practices of it and all that, and we're not going to get into a lot of details here, but do your research, have awareness about it, and know that the journey of your crystals or stones from the earth to you are touching quite a few people. You have, you know, I'm sure there's more people in between, but at a basic level, you have your miners, your wholesalers, your retailers, maybe sold and resold if it's a special piece, right, between other buyers. And so a lot of hands have touched that. So one of the first things we want to do, whether it be a ring, because then you're factoring in the jeweler too, right, is you want to cleanse it. You want to clear it and clear those energies that may be part of it, but also have gratitude for the journey that this piece of earth has been on. The gratitude for the people who have ventured into the mines in whatever form those may be, and how it got to you, and for the obviously Mother Earth for providing it to you. So there's points of gratitude, but there's also clearing those energies as well. And there's a multitude of ways that you can clear them. You know, we just had the full moon early in the week. That's a great place to clear them. Depending on the crystal, look it up. Maybe cold water, you know, the sage, smudging it, you know, the smoke from that. So there's different ways, and you can look those all up and find what works for you, because what works for me may not work for you. So there's that piece. Also, let's get into another point of crystals, which are the vibration of crystals. And we talked about that. We talked about vibration a bit in the self-healing chapter. In crystals, everything's energy, I guess, is what we can look at. Not just us, but these crystals and stones are full of energy, right? And the crazy part is that we are the unstable ones. So we have, you know, our emotional state is easily influenced, as we all know, right? But these crystals and stones, on the other hand, are stable energies, partly due to geometric shape, but partly because they can't be influenced, right? So with a little analytical deductive reasoning, we realize that we, the unstable ones, can be influenced by the stable ones. And therefore, we can do a little healing with these crystals and stones for ourselves and for our own energy, which brings us into chakras. I think I'll skip right to that now. So I guess let's back up. So we have chakras. That is going to be your own learning curve. I don't know if you've gone there, but that's another piece that is early on our path, and the colors of our chakras, the energy of our chakras, and that all of it is our life force energy flowing. So if we can use these crystals and stones to help with our chakras and help with the life force energy, then that's the next thing we're going to talk about. So our energy centers, our chakras, are, you know, spinning disc at the 7 points that we all know, and if not, you need to look it up. And they can get muddied up, they can get blocked, and so what we need to do is to clear our energy centers. And to move that energy, we need to do some self-healing. We need to do some clearing. You know, we can go to a Reiki specialist and have that energy moved as well. But the other place is with these crystals. And I know from me, I didn't know that, I didn't realize that, and it was a gradual introduction of things over time that brought me to that. It was picking up these little crystals and stones at the shops and it was having them on my windowsills, and then the windowsills went to actually a grid, which we'll get into later, which then went to these crystals and stones clearing me. Now, if you look at the crystals and stones, they're a beautiful rainbow of colors, as are our chakras. And so what do? We match up our colors. And by using breath work and our crystals, we can work to clear our chakras. And again, I didn't know that. It was these little steps that kept pushing me forward to, before I knew it, I was lying down and had all the colors laid out before and breathing them through and clearing my chakras. And it's really interesting to me as well that our bodies kind of know, or our minds know, or our intuition knows, and we can go into these shops, and it's really interesting to see what we're pulled towards, which crystals and stones are speaking to us, and if we really look at it, is that where we need help a little bit. And the other phenomenon to check that out in with the colors is with the food that we crave. Look at especially fruits and vegetables, which fruits and vegetables you are drawn to that you feel like you need, and oftentimes those are the chakra points that you need a little help in. So anyway, not to digress on that. So as we begin using crystals for clearing our energy, a good starting point is really to listen to yourself and to be drawn to what calls to you. And that's with everything. I find, like this ring, I loved it. It's amazing. And guess what? It was one ring in my size, and I find that's not the first time that's happened. So let yourself be drawn to what it's drawn to. It's your intuition. We don't realize that's what it is sometimes, but it's kind of spectacular. So with that journey, with that whole phase of that I just talked about, as far as the crystals on the windowsills, and then they went to a grid, I didn't know anything about grid making or crystal clearing or doing anything. But all of a sudden, at one point, I felt the need to move some of my bigger crystals onto a grid, and then began meditation in front of it. And I didn't look up at the time anything to do with crystal grids, but what's available out there is a plethora of information, and you're going to be drawn to what you're drawn to. So I would go online and look at that, because there's sacred geometry is brought into that, and you can look at what's available and see what intent or what you want to manifest out into the world. In the grid, there could be grids suggestions for that, but I do suggest that you also listen to your intuition a little bit. I know mine started as a healing grid, and it was quite simple. Nothing has to be complex with it. I didn't know, and it was before I was grid making, that I went to a crystal shop and was drawn to, I know this looks like possible drugs or something, but they're crystal points, and they were all in a bag. And so you can go into these crystal shops or go online, and they may have a packet or a kit, I guess, for you to make your own crystal grids. But eventually you'll acquire the different crystals and using your intuition, and you'll form the grids that make sense for you, if that's what you want. I will tell you that that went on at about 2.5 years into my journey, and was intense, and I had grids out all the time, and then they weren't. And I haven't done a grid in probably 2 years. So different things come in at different times. Just listen to what makes sense, and when it kind of subsides or goes away, that's okay. Maybe it'll come back again. I have all my stuff here, but I don't use it quite as much. Anyway, I know that was a quick and dirty of crystals, and I kind of went everywhere, but just enjoy it, I guess. Have awareness for the sourcing, and just enjoy. There's, that goes from the little ones to these beautiful, bigger pieces that, I've acquired and have received as gifts that I adore. They're spectacular, and they feel very powerful. And, the jewelry calls when it's meant to. It's just all very beautiful. Just have the appreciation for where everything came from, and have that gratitude, and look things up, look up clearing, look up cleansing, look up, how to clear them with a full moon or whatnot, or use them in the grid making, or use them for clearing your chakras. There's great Chakra 101 books that will get into that as well. And I guess that's it. We're at 14 and a half minutes, and I think that's a wrap for today. The next video, next Thursday, will be on self-care, And a quick update on the book, since it's moving quickly now. It looks like we've decided on a book cover, which is exciting. That happened as of today. We just need final approval on it. And from there, some of the interior design, and a final proofread, and then I think we're going to print. So this could happen in the next month to a month and a half, I'm guessing. So I will keep you posted on that front. And as always, feel free to subscribe on my website, tinalmoody.com, if you'd like to receive the Monday emails with the messages of inspiration to take forward on your weeks. And I think that's it. So much love and gratitude for you for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday as we discuss self-care. And I think that's it. Have a great day, and I will see you next Thursday.